delighted to have you with us today on African News 24 TV, bringing you the latest news, reports, and updates. I'm Miriam. Here are stories and reports we have for you at this time. The headlines first. Federal High Court sentences NNAMDI Kanu to life imprisonment. Nigeria Air Force launches airstrikes on terrorist hideout in Sambisa. Federal government blames killings, abduction in KWARA, KEBBI on Donald Trump's threat. Now to the meat of the bulletin. A federal high court in Abuja has sentenced the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, NNAMDI Kanu, to life imprisonment. In a judgment which lasted about 5 hours, the presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho, sentenced Kanu to life imprisonment for charges 1, 4, 5, and 6, which border on terrorism. The court expressed worry over the fact that the defendant has not shown remorse or know the magnitude of the offenses he committed, describing him as arrogant, cocky, and full of himself. For count 3, he was sent to 20 years imprisonment without option on fine. For count 7, 5 years imprisonment without option or fine. The count also ruled that the sentences shall run concurrently. The court noted unruly behavior of NNAMDI Kanu, who was described as having a tendency of violence and for which he is to be kept in facilities suitable for him. The court also ruled that the defendant should not be allowed access to any digital device except with the close monitoring of the National Security Advisor. Justice Omotosho ruled that Kanu be put in protective custody due to the number of lives that have been lost from the activities of his group. Additionally, the court ruled that Kanu lose ownership of his transmitter to the federal government. This judgment puts an end to about 10 years of legal battle. Kanu lost his case in a matter which tried him for terrorism over his secessionist activities, calling for the independence of Nigeria's Igbo-dominated southeast and some parts of the neighboring states as Biafra. And before that judgment, there was a mild drama in court this morning during the proceeding as Kanu went confrontational with the presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho. The presiding judge was about to commence the judgment delivery when he directed the registrar to call the case between the federal government and Kanu. The IPOB leader stood up and interjected, saying, quote, "My lord, there is no judgment today because we have joint issues in the matter." Justice Omotosho, in response, advised Kanu to follow court processes, saying, quote, "Defendant, there is decorum in court. Let the registrar call the matters accordingly." Kanu, however, insisted that he was entitled to file his final written address. Kanu went on to openly challenge the judge over what he described as procedural violations and the use of non-existent laws in his prosecution. He accused the judge of not knowing the law. Following the heated exchange, the judge directed the operatives of the Department of State Services to take the IPOB leader out of the courtroom. The implication of which is that Kanu's judgment was read in his absence. For more on that story, we are now being joined by a legal practitioner, Barrister Bethel Chimzi Oku. He joins us remotely from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. We'll continue this interview during the course of the bulletin. In a related story ahead of judgment just delivered on the allegation of terrorism by NNAMDI Kanu, the Nigerian police say they are not taking chances with the outcome of the judgment and the effect on the security of the southeast part of the country. This is according to the police public relations officer in Abia State, the home state of NNAMDI Kanu, Maureen Chinaka. Chinaka quoted the State Commissioner of Police, Danladi Issa, of putting security strategies in place and also engage in the cooperation of sister agencies to forestall any crisis. ISSA said, and I quote, "We have already placed security coverage to monitor the entire state. We put some security strategies in place to make sure there is no breakdown of law and order," end of quote. The police say they are not expecting any anti-behavior in any part of the state, whichever way the judgment goes. While the police is giving assurance of security, the Nigerian Army is dismissing a message circulating on social media announcing a sit-at-home order in the southeast. The Nigerian Army asked that the now viral message should be seen as fake and handiwork of criminal elements. In a statement by the Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations, 82 Division, Lieutenant Colonel Olabisi Ayeni, the threat was aimed at instilling fear in the region. The Army spokesperson insists there is a robust security architecture in place to guarantee the safety of residents. Away from that, but still in security, the air component of Operation Hardened Kai, Nigerian Air Force has launched decisive airstrikes on ARRA, a notorious terrorist hideout in Sambisa, Borno State. The NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame, made this known in a statement on Wednesday. Ejodame said the strike was carried out after a directive from the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke. Ejodame said the operation followed intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions that tracked terrorist movements after the October 17th ambush at Kashumri. He stated that persistent surveillance over Kashumri and Sambisa revealed suspicious activity and active terrorist structures at ARRA. He noted that NAF aircraft engaged designated targets through coordinated and successful attack runs. The NAF spokesman said all identified targets were destroyed, degrading terrorist capabilities and disrupting their command and logistics systems. Ejodame said the operation reflects NAF's commitment to protecting the nation and supporting ground forces across all operational fronts. He added that the NAF remains determined to neutralize threats, defend Nigeria's territory, and advance lasting peace nationwide. Meanwhile, the federal government is blaming the attacks on KEBBI and KWARA states on the remarks by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, alleges that the killing and kidnap of 25 schoolgirls in KEBBI State and the attack on a church in Ekuru in KWARA State stem from the threat by the United States President. He alleges that Trump's threat emboldened opportunistic violent groups. Akume is of the opinion that Trump's threat of deploying U.S. troops to fish out terrorists killing Christians has inadvertently brought out more terrorists who had before now been degraded and reduced to isolated banditry. Let's go on a break now. When we return, we'll tell you how much FAAC is sharing for October. That is on business. Join us again. Lagos State is making history on the financial state, securing 2 landmark bond issuances worth a combined 244.8 billion naira, an achievement that positions the state as a trailblazer in both climate finance and large-scale infrastructure funding. Our correspondent, Lydia Ajayi, has more on this report.
Lagos State has raised a combined 244.8 billion naira through 2 landmark bond issuances. The state signed a 14.8 billion naira green bond, Nigeria's first certified subnational climate bond, and a 230 billion naira conventional bond, the largest ever by any subnational in sub-Saharan Africa.
We are aligning with our long-term strategy to build a Lagos that is not only prosperous, but also environmentally secure for future generations.
Both bonds were heavily oversubscribed, reflecting strong investor confidence. The Lagos State Commissioner for Finance, Abayomi Oluyomi, says the funds will support key projects in transportation, housing, healthcare, education, and climate-friendly infrastructure.
Not only did we obtain a second opinion on the green, but our green bond also meets global standards and are certified by the globally recognized Climate Bond Initiative.
Advisors Bolaji Balogun and Timilola Akimiade says the issuances set new standards for transparency and sustainable financing.
This 230 billion issuance is not only the largest ever issuance by a state, it is the largest issuance by any issuer,
which are now opening up new opportunities for growth and investment.
Lagos says the proceeds will deliver long-term value for its residents. Lydia Ajayi, Africa News 24 TV.
And for more on business, let's join Praise Adeleke. Hello, Praise.
Thank you. Come to business. The Federation Account Allocation Committee shared 2.94 trillion naira revenue to the federal government, state, and local government council in October 2025. The revenue was shared at the FAAC meeting in Abuja on Wednesday, November 19. The FAAC, in a communique issued at the end of the meeting, said the 2.94 trillion naira total distributable revenue comprised of statutory revenue of 1.376 trillion naira, value-added tax revenue of 670.303 billion naira, and electronic money transfer levy revenue 47.870 billion naira. The FAAC stated that total gross revenue of 2.934 trillion naira was available in October. It disclosed that the total deduction for cost of collection was 115.278 billion naira, while total transfer, interventions, refunds and savings was 724.603 billion naira. And now the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, has given assurances of its new maritime labor e-platform, meeting global standards for protecting seafarers' rights and improving their working condition. The agency believes that the digital system will make Nigeria's maritime sector more competitive. At a workshop in Lagos, NIMASA showed seafarers and dock workers how to register, verify their details, and get their ID card through the new portal. NIMASA's Executive Director for Maritime Labour, Jibril Abba, said the platform is part of the agency's move towards full digital operations. He explains that it helps NIMASA keep a proper register of all maritime workers as required by the law. The federal government officially launched the platform in June during the 2025 Day of the Seafarer and described it as a major step in modernizing maritime labor management in Nigeria. And that's it on business. It's back to you for the rest of the bulletin. Thank you.
And on the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has signed into law legislation requiring the release of government records on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump had over the weekend reversed his months-long opposition to the Epstein's Files Transparency Act and ensuring that it sailed through Congress on Tuesday in a ratio of bipartisan unity. The president, a former friend of the late sex offender, announced on social media on Wednesday night that he had signed a bill foregoing any media spectacle of the event. Insiders warned that even with the president's signature, his administration could lean on redactions, procedural delays, or lingering federal investigations to keep explosive details out of the public eye. Let's head to the sports arena where the Super Eagles of Nigeria have been ranked 38th globally in the latest FIFA ranking released by the world governing body on Wednesday. The Super Eagles climbed on the table but still trail Morocco, Senegal, Egypt and Algeria, who remain Africa's top 5 teams in the latest ranking. Spain kept their hold on top spots, with Argentina, France and England staying close behind them. The ranking shifted after a busy international window that ended UEFA and CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers and settled the final CAF and AFC playoff fixtures. FIFA said the new table will guide the draws for the FIFA World Cup 2026 playoff tournament and the European playoffs scheduled for Thursday in Zurich. Still in sports, the Super Falcons of Nigeria have been named 2025 CAF Women's National Team of the Year. The honor follows a remarkable year in which Super Falcons secured their 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. Morocco defender Achraf Hakimi was also named African Footballer of the Year at the 2025 CAF Awards in Rabat on Wednesday. Hakimi becomes the first defender to claim the prize in 52 years, as he finished ahead of Mohamed Salah and Victor Osimhen in the voting. The Paris Saint-Germain defender was rewarded for a trophy-laden 2025 with PSG, in which he claimed the Champions League, Ligue 1 title, Coupe de France, and UEFA Super Cup. He is the first Moroccan to win the award since midfielder Mustafa Arji in 1998, and the first defender since Zaire centre-back Bouanga Shimen in 1973. In entertainment, the United Nigeria Airlines has accepted public apologies from social media influencers Very Dark Man and Mr. Jollof following a physical altercation on a flight from Asaba to Lagos on November 17, 2025. The two influencers had exchanged blows mid-air, prompting the airline to intervene and deboard them. In a separate video apologies, Very Dark Man and Mr. Jollof expressed regret for their actions, citing self-defense and acknowledging the disruption caused to fellow passengers. Mr. Jollof apologized to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, United Nigeria Airlines and passengers, assuring that such behavior would not recur. Very Dark Man also admitted to acting irresponsibly and apologized to passengers, the pilot and flight crew, while stopping short of guaranteeing future good behavior. That's all we have for you at this hour. Thank you for staying with us on African News 24 TV. Don't forget to follow us across all the social media platforms displayed on your screen, and visit our website at africannews24.ng to stay informed and ahead. We'll be back with more updates in our next broadcast. I'm Mary Adam. Bye for now.